Hello, my name is Ely Sena-Martin. I am originally from the Dominican Republic, and I'm very excited to be here. Yay! Lots of good friends in the audience, lots of good partners in crime, and more. But I'm very excited to welcome our panelists. I'm just going to ask them to come all together, and then we'll get into introductions. I would say, as they're coming, that they represent the kind of people that I want to be when I grow up, and are great collaborators and, like I said, partners in crime who get into some good trouble in the community. So I'm hoping that by introducing them to you, you can also feel like these are potential partners in crime for some good work. And so without further ado, if you guys want to take a seat, I have been in the Evansville community since 2002. I came as an international student to the University of Evansville thanks to the Ministry of Christian Fellowship Church in the Dominican Republic. And both UE and my host family here took care of me. I was in a bubble. I did not have that initial immigrant experience until I got married and I was teaching. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, there's a lot of things I don't know about this world of adulting in another country. I would say, as we introduce other panelists, you will hear how all of us represent new Americans or children of new Americans in this particular community. And we have chosen Evansville as our home. And this is why we get into good trouble here, because we believe this is worthwhile, both for our community and for the thriving of Evansville and the region. So instead of introducing them with my own words, I will let them introduce themselves. But before I do that, I would like to share with you, bienvenidos y gracias por estar aquí. Mi idioma principal es español y siempre lo hablo con mucho orgullo. Y le doy la bienvenida también a todos nuestros hispanohablantes que están con nosotros.
Hello, I'm Niti Moore. I am originally from India, and I have lived here most of my life. So Evansville has been home for a long time, and I will save the rest for later.
Hello. Or should I say Yakwe? Yakwe is hello in English. My name is Enos, and I'm with the Marshallese community here in Evansville. Originally born and raised, born in the Marshall Islands and raised up in Hawaii. I just moved up here. I just moved here 2 years ago, and I'm newly fresh here in Evansville. And I'm very blessed to be here among the good friend of mine and with beautiful people tonight. Thank you.
Hello, I am Gelina Mascoe. Bonsoir. Nombre c'est Gelina. I was born in Haiti. I came to the United States when I was 12 years old. My parents came here when I was only 3. I didn't get to join them until 9 years later. I've been living in Evansville for close to 25 years. I have 2 boys, Deshaun and Drayson, and then Davian. I've been married to him for about 22 years. So I'm glad to be here. We also have a Haitian center, so we're going to talk about that soon. I'm sure you all want to know about it.
Hello, my name is Abraham Brown, Mexican-American. I was born here in the United States, but my mom's from Mexico. I'm a second-generation Latino. I'm very, very happy that I made this area my home. Estoy bien contento de que toda esta comunidad nos ha adoptado y que ha sido muy, muy buena con nosotros, especialmente los latinos. This community has been wonderful, very welcoming to our Latino community, and I want to say thank you for that.
Well, thank you to all our panelists. And me. That's good. I told them when I roped them into this that I had the easy job of moderating, and they had the hard job of saying all the right things. But with that spirit in mind, I did want to situate our conversation today. So when we're thinking about the immigrant community, if you do not normally interact or they don't represent your community, or you don't work at a school that has students from 13 languages, you might be wondering, immigrants in Evansville, who and where and how many? But when I think about the scope of what we're talking about, I'm thinking first the Hispanic community that I have learned and loved and grown into. We are probably around that 10,000 Hispanic Latino immigrants in this tri-state region. When we think about the Haitian immigrants that have been coming in greater and greater number, We're at 6,000 to 8,000 Haitians recognized in this area. When we think about the Marshallese, which in 2006, when I was a brand new ESL teacher, I was like, the Marshall Islands, where are they? Never heard of them before. I should have. They're now 6,000, 7,000 strong in the Evansville area. And then Niti represents many different communities. When I think about the Indian community, connections to the Islamic community, that number is even larger. So we're not talking just about a few people here and there in some parts of Evansville. We're really talking about a large and fast-growing population. Even 10 years ago, we would not have imagined that our population would have grown to where we have restaurants and people from all around the world here. And with that in mind, I would say this conversation is as timely as it has ever been as we continue to grow and think about ways to systematically support a growing population, not just phone tree help, people who want to help here and there, but truly become a welcoming city where everyone can thrive, not just for the sake of the individuals that are here or their families, for the human, the human rights aspect of everyone thriving, but for the sake of our own community. When I think about 10 more years, if we do not organize and create systems that work for everyone, we will find ourselves looking back and seeing missed opportunities for economic growth, for entrepreneurship, for multiculturalism, and for diversity that would attract, who knows, the next major global headquarter company, etc. So we don't know what we're missing when we do not embrace all of the gifts that God has given our community through our new Americans and immigrant population. And with that in mind, my first question as a moderator, and I get to pass down the mic, so to speak, the floor to Abraham, is thinking about what a true multicultural city where E is truly for everyone looks like. And when I think about that, I think not just about needs, but I think about assets and strengths and contributions that you can capitalize on when you have a truly multicultural city. So I'm going to ask Abraham, who's been, I would say, kind of like the father of the Hispanic community. We are aging ourselves here, but for me, when I first came, it was like, I call Abraham or I call Guillermo, and they tell me everything I need to know. So Abraham, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Thank you. And more than a dream, let me tell you something. And we just celebrated the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. And based on that, to answer that question, while it's a dream, a city for everyone would be a city where everybody would welcome, talk, and interact with people in the same way that they would interact with their own family. They would not base the way that they treat others just because of the language that they speak, their color, their country of origin, or how long had they been here in Evansville or in the area. The dream is that everybody will be treated fairly, treated the same, give the same opportunities based on the content of their character. And talking about that, and Latinos, Marshallese, Haitians, Asians, all the different minorities are coming, all the different migrants are coming to this area, are coming for one reason. And 2 years ago, we had a needs assessment, and we found out that, at least for the Latino community, they said, we're coming to Evansville because Evansville, it has great job opportunities, of course. Cost of living, it's very good. But the third one, and probably one of the most important, they say it's a very welcoming city. They found that it was a very welcoming city. So that gives us hope that we're going in the right direction, but we need to address a situation that's getting out of our hands. Our communities are growing, and they're growing exponentially. Just in the last 5 years, our Latino community has doubled in numbers. And when you talk about the resources have not been doubled in numbers. Actually, some of those resources have been disappearing, and the community is growing. So for me, a community that is for everyone will really show with resources, with investment, with opening of hearts, with everybody working together to make sure that we do offer the same opportunities for everybody. Seeing these kids struggling at schools, not making it, and it's sad. What are we doing as a community to make sure that that kid can say, oh yes, Evansville's for me and for my family? And I'm telling you, a lot of these kids cannot answer that right now. And it's sad.
Abraham, if you don't mind me asking, can you share a little bit about strengths or contributions you've seen from kind of new Americans in the community?
Oh, yes. And we've always celebrated that our migrant communities, they bring a lot of very good assets. They like the family values that they bring, how honest they are, how hard workers they are. I've been receiving a lot of phone calls from different companies, and they say, we want to hire more Latinos because they stay at the workplace. We don't have to replace them every other 3 or 4 months. They come, they show up on time, and they're hard workers. So just like that, most of our migrant community, they come here with a mission to provide better life for their family, because they appreciate family very much, and they come here to work. They're hard workers. And lately, we've been receiving a large migration of Latinos that they just don't settle with cleaning houses or doing landscaping. They actually want to come and start businesses. So that's a powerful thing that's happening in our area, that it's transforming the Evansville that we're seeing in these years.
Well, would anybody else like to chime in on that question? Any further thoughts before we go on to question number 2?
I think every I pointed everything that I want to say, and he's on point. I'm with him. I'm with him.
Yeah. Well, so maybe for our next question, we're moving from assets and contributions and a vision of multiculturalism to think about challenges that we know Americans face, specifically in our community, and how they interfere with that vision and idea of everyone thriving and E being for everyone. And so I'm going to ask Niti to share from her experience as a 16-year veteran teacher in EBSC, now working for the EBSC Foundation, and above that, one of the dreamers and coordinators of the Festival of Nations, and someone who volunteers to help new Americans going to the airport in Indianapolis, finding a new apartment, driving them around to work when they don't have transportation before and after work. So lots of experiences represented in Niti, and so she's a good person to share on that.
शुक्रिया एली। तो मैं आप सबसे मेरी भाषा में आज बात करूँगी। तो अगर किसी को मेरी बात समझ में आ रही है, अच्छी बात है। अगर आपको समझ में नहीं आ रही है, मैं आपसे पहले ही माफ़ी मांगती हूँ। पर जब हम यहाँ आते हैं, कोई भी शहर से, कोई भी देश से हम यहाँ आते हैं, हम हमारी भाषा, हमारी रीत रिवाज ले आते हैं। और जब यहाँ आते हैं, तो अगर हम आपकी भाषा नहीं समझ सकते और आप हमारी भाषा नहीं समझ सकते हैं, तो हम कैसे काम ढूंढेंगे? हम कैसे हमारे बच्चों को पढ़ाई सिखाएंगे? हम कैसे कुछ भी जो भी करना हो ज़िंदगी जीने के लिए, हम कैसे करेंगे?
Thank you.
Did you understand what I said? Pues puedo traducir a español. Así, algunos que hablan español me entienden, pero es difícil cuando venimos y no hablamos inglés, ¿sí? Es difícil comunicar y buscar trabajo. Es difícil buscar servicios para cualquier cosa. So what I'm saying is the biggest challenge that new immigrants or new Americans face is language barrier. So regardless of which country we come from, we all speak our own languages. Some of us speak more than 1 or 3. But when we come here, we're always looking for our community, right? If you're new and you don't know anything, and especially if you don't speak English, it's really difficult to find your community, someone that can help you, someone that can hold your hand and guide you, like to say, hey, this is where you go to get health services that would fit your budget. You know, this is where you can go to seek job opportunities. those are some of the barriers that most immigrants face. And I have worked, like Ely said, with many different communities, because when I first came here, the only thing I remember is my 7th grade teacher at ELS, Mrs. Zirkelbach. So wherever Mrs. Zirkelbach is, please tell her I said hello. But if it hadn't been for her, I don't think my classmates would have learned anything about me or India. And she made it a point to take time out in class to teach the students where India is. Geography is not a strong suit in America, just saying. It's not in Texas, by the way. So, she took time out, and that made me feel comfortable as a student in a classroom of everyone that was Caucasian. I was the only person of color. So coming from a country with the world's largest population now, I believe, where everyone looks like me to where no one looks like me at the age of 11. I don't know if you call that a culture shock, but it was. But long story short, those are some, thanks to Mrs. Zirkelbach, I was able to acclimate and acclimate quickly. And it happened because I already spoke English along with my other languages. Everyone's not that fortunate, and I've had the privilege of working with a lot of students as a teacher over the 16 years, even previously as a sub in the EVSC, helping students navigate those, whether it's interpreting for families, to access enrollment. So that's a barrier. If you can't speak the language, how are you supposed to go register your child to go to school? If you don't understand the language, how do you know how to call the attendance system to report an absence? If you don't speak the language, how are you supposed to read all the forms that the school just hands to you? And, Spanish and now Marshallese and Haitian Creole, those are our largest populations. We do have those services in those specific languages, but there are other languages that are spoken around the world, and we are having families come in. Recently, I got a call to translate in Malayalam. It's a language that's spoken in South India. I don't even speak that language. We have over 21 languages, by the way, in India. And so not every Indian speaks Hindi, not every Indian speaks English, and not all of us can speak each other's language. So that's a barrier, and I don't know how many ways I can articulate. It cuts us off to any other resource, whether it's finding a job, whether it's getting our vaccines, whether it is, finding someone that can help us to apply for benefits, health coverage, whether it's someone that can explain to us our privileges and rights that we have based on our immigrant status. We in Evansville don't have immigration attorneys. Long time ago, when I was working on my citizenship paperwork, there was one attorney here, and I don't know if he's still here. He's moved since. So understanding your immigrant status and what you can have, what you cannot have based on your status. Also educating the employers when they're working with immigrants. Be patient. Be patient. Give them an opportunity to learn. Sometimes it's also hard because work ethic that Abraham mentioned is different. It looks different in different countries. Punctuality means something different in every country. We will all attest. We're surprised we all made it on time.
We've Americanized.
We've been Americanized. So this is part of our acculturation that happens, but it happens slowly. And, as our community members, if you are patient in understanding those small cultural nuances, it helps us acclimate quickly and integrate into our Evansville city faster.
Thanks, Niti. Anybody else want to chime in on challenges that we see our new Americans facing?
I'll take it, Enos. It's working. Okay, great. As someone who's been dealing with the newest groups in the city, we face a lot of challenges. The thing about Haitians, they call us, we are triple minorities, basically. That's what Haitians are. So we're Black. We are in a country where we don't know the language. And then when we start speaking, everybody's like, what are you doing? So when we say that we get identified as Black, So when we start talking, and everybody's like, wait, where did that accent come from? So we are triple minorities, so that means we get triple discriminated against. So the things that our Haitian community here are facing, I can only speak for that because I deal with that on a daily basis. Language is the biggest thing. Immigration is another thing. VU, God bless Gretchen. They do a wonderful job with our Haitian community, and it's growing. And I think she says she starts seeing like at least 40 Haitians registering every time there's a registration. So, and I have 40 more. I have a list. So what we do with the Haitian Center, because of the fact that we know the language is the biggest issue, we basically try to show everybody where they can find resources in the community. So it's like if I was to take one of you to Haiti or to Mexico and be like, go find things. So that's the biggest issue that we're facing. And immigration, if they don't have their immigration paperwork, nothing works. And we have people that, because of their status, they have to wait 6 months before they can get work IDs. So if they cannot get work IDs and they can't even have the things that make people survive, there's certain food banks that they cannot go to, food pantries, if they don't have Social Security cards. So these are the things that we have to find out, okay, which food banks will accept somebody or give them something to eat because they don't have a Social Security card for now. And another thing is immigrants face in the community is like there's such a misunderstanding when it comes to immigration because of all the misinformations that we receive. We listen on the news and everybody's undocumented. Well, we have people who have so many different immigration status in the city. We have people with I-94. We have asylees. We have refugees. We have the Haitians call it the Biden program. So it's the humanitarian program, basically. So that's what they call it. So there's so many different things. And the other day, someone posts, well, if you're not an American citizen, then you're all illegals. That's not the case. People have green cards. So these are the things that immigrants are facing in the community. And it's a small amount in the community because the Haitian Center, we have received such a huge amount of support from the Evansville community. You guys show up for us when we call. We try to work with the school systems. We try to work with the healthcare. Give us time. We only been open since April, and I feel like we've been open for 10 years. So, and we can't do everything. So we just try to direct people to resources because of the language barrier. So, and when we start direct them to resources, we are everything for every resources. I sell somebody a house and they're calling me about a microwave that's not working. So I have to get in my car and go show them how to make the microwave work. So these are the things. And there's also, because there's a microwave in Haiti, right? There's certain things, people in Haiti can go 2 weeks without electricity. So electricity is a luxury for us here. So these are the things that we have to be patient with our immigration population in Evansville to understand that just because something is normal here, it's not normal in their country. So, yeah.
And Gelina, you were my next person on the list, so I'll just keep riding on that wave. You mentioned quite a few specific needs that we see, and Niti highlighted on that, on the language barrier, and some of those are obvious things. We also kind of talked about some of the more deep cultural issues, such as your own idea of how the world works might be clashing with the way the new version of the world operates, all the way from electricity to microwaves to the system of schooling. Are there any other specific needs that you see in our new American population that you could highlight for the group? Because from, friends in the audience, they represent nonprofits and other programs and services that are available that we know our new Americans might not know about. And might connect with some of those needs and can spark some ideas for next steps.
Yes, transportation is a big issue in the immigration population here in Evansville. The reason why, because if you have an I-94, you can't even get an ID. So they stack up. And there's a lot of times when there's other things happening around the city and there's other resources available. And I will go on social media. I'm like, okay, I'm doing a diaper drive. And everybody was like, well, why don't you send everybody to Little Lamb? Well, Little Lamb is only open on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And the right that they get to come to the center that day, that's all they have. So because the pastors, who also have jobs too, because we have 4 Haitian churches here in Evansville. So they have jobs, and Saturday is the only day they can drive people around and give them a ride to go get things that they need. And sometimes they're like, well, we have to get our services ready. So we are here at the center. Do you have everything that we can get? So, and there's other community organizations that drive people around and give them rides too, like new moms who's giving birth and who are pregnant. So, and that's the only day that they have that person who can take them to Walmart to buy grocery, or take them to a food pantry to find food, and go to a clothing bag to get clothes. So we stock up on things at the center that, okay, somebody shouldn't have to drive to 10 different places to find an outfit, or shouldn't have to go to 10 different places to find a jacket for their 3-year-old. So I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. I need some jackets. And the wonderful community that Evansville is, 75 people send me 75 jackets because I needed jackets, and these are the things. And I work with different community organizations, and we try to send everyone to all the resources that are available to our Evansville community. And we have so many resources. We have so many nonprofits. I think there's 800 nonprofits here. And it's a good thing because you guys care a lot. But the only thing is, not a lot of people know about it, right? So if somebody who speaks English, because this is my second language, but I learned English. From school, from wonderful ESL teachers. And if you come here and you don't speak English, you don't know these things are available. And even people who speak English here don't even know they're available. So just people are like, well, why don't they know where these things are? I'm like, you don't even know where that is. What do you mean? So these are the things that our immigration, our migrants are facing here in Evansville. And we have a shortage in ESL teachers, and we need more ESL teacher because language is the biggest issue. If you can speak the language, you can do whatever you want. And here I am. I'm sitting in front of you guys. I can talk because I can speak the language. So if you can't communicate, there's not much you can do. So because we have a shortage in ESL teachers, and Vincent is trying to help the parents, EVSC is struggling to help the kids, and they're trying their best. Everybody's just tired. So it's just like we just have to figure out a way to make things work for our community, not just because we're looking at them as, well, they're Haitians, they're Marshallese, they are Hispanic. We are a community, and we are neighbors, and we're supposed to treat each other as such.
Great. And with that, it's perfect next question. For Enos to share with us. We have lots of audience members here who are wondering, after hearing from Amy and then our conversation, how they could help. Practical ways, something you could do today to kind of get into some good trouble here on behalf of our new Americans. It's good trouble because it is disruptive. When we think about what the norm is not that we have everything translated into key languages and that we have interpretation services at the touch of a button. We are growing, we're getting better, but it is disruptive to, spend a few minutes of the panel speaking Hindi or Spanish. It is not the norm. So, Enos, anything that you can recommend to our group as the next steps?
Yep. Well, thank you, Ely. As we know that we all share the same issue here in Evansville. And 2 years ago, I'm gonna say a little story. I told my wife, "Hey, we're gonna move to Evansville." She's like, "Where is Evansville?" I told her, "Well, it's in Indiana." She was like, "Okay, what are we gonna do there?" Like, we're gonna build our third location, my third business here. So after flying here to build my third location, the Marshallese folks, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Marshallese people here, picked me as their president for the community. And after meeting a lot of good folks from the community and heard the story from the principal from Lodge, it just touched my heart with a lot that you folks do for the kids for the minority kids. And things that I can put on the table for a lot of folks here tonight to help the communities to come out and donate to the school, volunteer on the events. And I know that every year Abraham have his fiesta at the Westerman Park, and Gelina have her our event too. Also, us Marshallese, we have our Constitution Day, which is on May of every year, May 1st, and everyone is welcome to come down there. Please come out and support. And this is what we need from the community, for the community to come out and support our migrant people here in the community.
And to piggyback on that, I'm sure Niti has some things to say about the festival. No, I do that.
I was going to say, as a teacher at Boise, when I transferred to Boise from North, I was blessed to work with the International Newcomers Academy, which is now housed at Harrison. And that's basically where all of our English language learners are attending to learn English throughout the day. And because of that, when I saw the diversity that was at Boise High School when I started International Club and became part of the Festival of Nations, which is an annual celebration that takes place. It started in Bosse's cafeteria. We outgrew that to the gymnasium, and then now we are at the Old National Events Plaza, which is April 18th. This is our 10th annual festival. So if you want to see over 40 plus countries that are represented in our corporation, it is a celebration of our diversity. It is a place where we all get to be and be proud of who we are, be comfortable wearing our ethnic clothing. So some things that you as community members could do is, sometimes just because we wear something different does not mean we don't speak English. Or doesn't mean that we can't or we don't want to assimilate, but sometimes it's just nice to partake in what we do, and we invite you to be part of it. Also, there is a Cultural Society of India that has been around since I've moved here at the age of 12, and we have our celebrations as well. One of the biggest ones that we do is Diwali, which usually happens October or November. And here we celebrate after Diwali, usually, depending on venue availability. So that you can go to the website and purchase tickets and come see the celebration, see what it's about. There's also the International Food Festival that takes place at the mosque. And at the Mosque, the Islamic Center does not just represent Indian Muslims or Pakistani Muslims or Afghani Muslims, but Muslims from all over the world. So if you want to see yet another area of diversity in religion itself, that's a wonderful place to go. And I couldn't do the festival alone without my crew here. So Gretchen Easterday and Maria, they're also part of the festival, and Catherine Gray has been a part of it. So they're all wonderful, and I hope you all come. There's some postcards that you can take.
One more.
I totally forgot to mention, we also have a Culture Day for the Marshallese people here, which is going to be happen on October. So everybody's welcome. Please come out to each and every one of our events and learn our culture, where we're from, and what we eat a lot.
Yeah,
So there's going to be a lot of food, a lot of music, and fun things. Everybody come out.
come for the food. You won't regret it. It'll be great. All the foods are good.
Yeah. And I would say, for us, it's first and foremost to have the spaces where we get to be the person we are on the inside and to celebrate with others, our allies, who we are and how we look and how we speak, and our food is very important. We have not highlighted the festival and cultural opportunities just because it's fun. It is the first place where you can really come in the terms of the other to meet new friends. And if there are no friendships across the groups, there will be nothing else. So it is a first step to meet people from the actual communities, to feel comfortable in uncomfortable spaces. And there you can see, oh, there's some things in common. There's some needs not in common. And here's how I can help my friend. I would say that for many years, my family that worked in community development, poverty in many ways is that lack of friendship. And when you move to a new place and you have no friends, there's a certain level of poverty, even if you had money, in terms of human capital and social capital, that can only be bridged once you make those relationships and others are thinking of you as part of their group. So that is a place for us to start in Evansville, is where we are not strangers to each other across the cultures or native born or new American. Many of us now have children who are second generation. They will feel comfortable in both spaces, so there's great hope there. And from there, I would say, because I am a person of action, it is not okay just to have good friends and show up and enjoy. You got to put your money where your mouth is. You need to support the schools that serve our children. You need to donate to the Haitian Center. You need to support the Festival of Nations with your presence and your funds. If you are in a nonprofit or you support nonprofits, you can be an advocate and an ally in those spaces to say, how are we supporting our friends in the Marshallese community or the Haitian community? And as you get to know more people, you will know how in your own spaces with your expertise. And that is really the gift of friendship that brings the richness to our community. So start of the fun, close, dancing, move on to the doing, volunteering, giving, step into the developing leaders, coming alongside, changing systems on behalf of the different groups that we have, with the hope eventually that we won't even think about, Ely was from, or Niti speaks, or Enos has only been here a couple years, but we think this is Evansville and this is what we look like. And for me, the greater hope is that we are doubling in size, and eventually, whether people think that's true or not, it will happen. It will happen, and then we will find ourselves there and say, remember when we used to be 5 ESL teachers? Oh my God, look at us now. And how much better to have that kind of multi-ethnic opportunity. So these are kind of our thoughts. I know that Imagine Evansville is an event with a lot of potential next steps. So here's my shameless plug for you to take this piece of paper that costs money to produce, scan that QR code you got to think about that. It's worth doing it so you can take it home and put it in your fridge. Scan the QR code on next steps. There are links there both to learn about all the things we've talked about, but also to connect with us. I know many of you represent whole organizations that are thinking about this and would like to get connected. If you fill out that form, we will be in touch with you. We are working on things behind the scenes to make the system of support for new Americans better. There are old dreams, decades long at this point, about how we could be more organized and not burn out the people that are doing this work and to collaborate better. So if we invite you to step into that space of hard work but great reward. So contact us, get plugged in, and if you know any of us, you stop us, we will give you many, many ideas that we can follow up. And I know that we've taken more time than we were supposed to, but we are grateful for your time and giving of your evening to us, and we appreciate that. Abraham has one more thing.
I just have a final thought, and I can talk for hours, but I just want to say thank you for being here. It means the world for us that you are here wanting to learn about our migrant community. It's very, very important to be grateful for a lot of things that you guys have done in different organizations, and I could name a lot of organizations that have done a lot of things during the years to make sure they address this situation. The resources sometimes are not as big as we would like them to be to make sure that we cover all those needs. But thank you very much, because the work that you have done and the work that you plan to do in the future will really make a difference in our migrant communities. Thank you so very much.